Every child deserves to have a family that is whole, complete, and full of love. But because of sin, evil, and the fallen nature of man, not everyone gets to have this kind of story. My name is Arian Mormal, and my life has been far from normal, from this pretty picture perfect life. Yet this is the reality for many of us. And still, we can see God moving throughout it all, through the pain and the sorrow, pulling us back towards His mercy, grace, and love. I came from a broken family. Both my parents were foreign to America. My dad from Afghanistan, my mother from Russia. They were both still very enrooted in their own culture dynamic when I was very young that had split them apart. My dad was this devoted Muslim who was trained to believe that women were beneath men. And my mother was a Christian with this distorted, legalistic view of who God was, a God full of wrath and judgment alone. She stayed with my father until the age of 5 and endured the abuse until then because he started to become violent towards my sister and me. My mother, who was so full of her own brokenness, met my stepdad soon after. And he turned out to be an alcoholic who was abusive towards us in other ways. After enduring these two different father figures, I was so full of pain and sorrow that in order to cope with it all, I turned towards drugs and alcohol in my teenage years, which lasted until my early 20s. This put me into terrible situations where I was molested and raped on numerous occasions. I was searching and seeking out for love in all these wrong spaces and never finding it. It wasn't until I, who was so full of sin, of grief, of sorrow, feeling dead inside and no longer wanting to live anymore, wasn't until then did I encounter God. He saw me through all the pain and suffering, and He met me there, and He saved me. He was the Father that I was always searching for, who could give me that love that I was longing for. He now has been restoring the identity that He has for me as His child. I now know God to be a God who is full of grace, of mercy, and love, who can forgive me of the past. And I know that the God who has saved me can save my family too, and I am praying for them. I think many of you can relate to this, can relate to my story, from coming from a broken family and praying for them to be saved. There are many nations out there in this world today, like Afghanistan, like Russia, like where we are at in Guinea right now, who need the hope of Jesus. And if we can reach a family in Guinea with the hope of Jesus, with the gospel, it can change their lives. One person can change a family, that can change a neighborhood, that can change a whole region, and it can explode into the nation. If we can just reach one person with the gospel, we can make a difference. So would you please prayerfully consider partnering with us today to reach the unreached, to give them the hope of Jesus.